certain people are only meant to be in your life to give you lessons. You know, like, see, there's this thing, right? My dad, first off, he lives in this city that I'd go to probably like once a week, maybe once every twice a week, and I have never ran into him. Even though he only lives like a 20-minute walk away from like where I would be in the city, and I have not ran into him once. My mum, she lives like a 20-minute drive away, right? Ever since I've been removed from my mum's house, I've not seen her, and ever since I've cut contact with my dad, I've not seen him. What I'm trying to say is, when you've run your course with a person, you won't run into him. You know what? Like, every time I've decided, yeah, I've learned what I gotta learn from him, I'm done with this cunt type shit, you know, I have not run into them, you know. And when my dad originally, when he came back to Ireland, so I was around 15-ish, I went up to Limerick and I saw him in the bus station. And see, I have this thing, I look very different than I used to. Like, every year I get progressively a different look. See, I ran into my dad then, and I saw him, and he tried walking up to me, but he didn't. I don't think he really knew if it was me or not, because it was a good year or so when he saw me. And when he saw me, I had blonde fucking... See, I had like highlights, but they were very unique highlights. I had like this bit dyed, I had like this bit dyed, and I had like two pieces in the back dyed. It was like a very unique fucking highlight. And then I grew that out and I cut it out, so I was just full on like brunette, but I was like short brunette hair. And he was like, is this my child? Is this not? I've abandoned her for so long, I don't know. I saw him, whatever. I told my aunt, what I did is I played the card of, oh yeah, he had bottles and all this, and basically I made him sound like a complete and utter pity case, which he kind of is. And then my aunt was like, we'll go up and meet him, right? And then I briefly talked to my dad for those couple of months, and I learned a huge lesson off of him, and that lesson is, I am so grateful he abandoned me. Like, for the longest time, for many years, I held this wound within me. My dad abandoned me. No one could ever love me. And I feel like when I interacted with him, when like my brain was getting like, you know, I wasn't a 6-year-old child anymore. Not saying I have the best judgment ever, but like nowadays my judgment is definitely better than when I was 6. I realized he didn't abandon me because I'm not worthy of love. He abandoned me due to his mental illness and how much of a coward he is as a man. You know, and I feel like a lot of the time people weaponize their trauma, and they weaponize it towards themselves, because it's so hard to like admit to yourself the reality. Oh, my parents are just fuck ups. You know, it takes so many years and just so many realizations and so much trauma to eventually come to that. Because especially when you're a kid, your whole world is basically trying to survive. So you need your parents for food, you need them for shelter, you need them for comfort. So you'll change yourself and internalize it all on yourself, what they say, what they do, if they hit you, that type of thing. And you'll blame yourself for it. Because you, like, if you accepted, oh, my dad is an abuser, you'd start distancing yourself from him and all this shit. And then he probably wouldn't feed you, and he'd probably beat you more. Basically, survival tactics. You try to survive. But what I did, ever since I cut him off there, and whenever I learned my absolute last lesson for him, I have not ran into him. And I think it's been a good 6-ish months. And I'm very happy I've run my course with that man. And my mum, oh Jesus, I learned too many lessons from her. Oh my God, I learned way too many lessons. Jesus Christ. And like, I haven't seen her in like a year or so. And it's like, even with friends and shit like that, I feel like just because of the whole school proximity, I still have to see some of them. But the reality is, as soon as I graduate, I'm not going to see them. Like, I don't run into them in public, you know? And my thing is, just taking a quick sip of Monster. Like, at the end of the day, there's no point of keeping people in your life just for the sake of keeping them in your life. If they give you value, if you care about them, if they care about you, because all all human relationships are give and take. They have to be 50-50. People shouldn't be over-functioning. You should like each other enough to be friends, besties, family, whatever the fuck you are. Lovers, I don't give a shit. You know, it's 2025. If you want to be fucking aliens together, be fucking aliens together. I don't really give a shit, like. But I think it's a very recovering codependent. I think one of the greatest things I learned is to value myself. For the longest time, I would throw away my opinions. I would throw away what makes me happy, and I would throw away boundaries just so someone could accept me and someone could quote unquote love me. But the thing is, when I got acceptance and when I got quote unquote love, it was for someone that wasn't myself. I tried to be a mirror of the person I was trying to get validation off of and recognition from. I was trying to be their mirror so they would accept me. But the thing is, if I'm putting on this mask to be their mirror, then it isn't actually reaching me, because that's not who I fucking am. You know, I think when I stopped talking to the two of my parents, that's when I actually started having functional friendships and relationships and stuff like that in my life. For the longest time, even nearly to this day, whenever I hear the word family, I nearly like flinch, if I'm going to be honest, because my immediate family, I can't even tell you the amount of pain they fucking cause me. I don't think there's words to fucking describe the amount of pain they put me through. And I think, like my family, a lot of it's kind of fucked up. It's filled with alcohol, fucking generational trauma, and fucking personality disorders and mental illness. You know, that's what my trauma's based on. But there's a couple of people in my family that I get on with. Around 2 I really get on with, and then 3rd is like depending, you know. But for the longest time, I always imagined myself without family, you know, because for the longest time I imagined myself without even friends. You know, for the longest time, right, I had this school counsellor and I was in her office, and she, like, this is when I first moved into my aunt's house, and she asked me, Nisha, this is a weird question, right? But where do you imagine yourself for Christmas? Do you want to know what I said? I was like, do you know what? I know that sounds a bit weird, but I think these are my exact words. I know it sounds a bit weird, but I imagine myself at the very end of the day after going to my aunt's house or whatever, and I imagine myself with a muffin and a candle, and I'm going to blow out that candle, and I'm going to make sure it's at the very end of Christmas, just to celebrate me. You know, because at the end of the day, it was always me. You know, who helped me survive? Me. Who made me get through it? Me. Who was, like, it's always been me. I was alone for so many years, and it was so weird to adjusting to having people in my fucking life. It was so weird. You're telling me there's people who'll be there for me when I'm going through stuff. You're telling me there's people I can ring when I need help. You're telling me people actually like me for me. You're telling me I'm no longer that weird kid no one wants to fucking talk to because they're like borderline crazy. Yeah, and it's like, when I finally cut the negative people out of my life, that's when I got blessed. That's when multiple people entered my life and they're like giving me now positive impacts and make me happy and shit like that. It's because I got rid of the relationships and everything that run their course. And what I will say, it's a privilege to cut your parents off. With the circumstances I have, I got really fucking lucky. What ended up happening is, we briefly had this guidance counselor in my school or whatever, and I was meeting her, and she is the person I told the most. She's the person I've opened up to in the most in my life, and I don't open up. And whenever I used to open up around this time period, I'd always get negative responses for the most part. Like 99.9% of the time, it wouldn't go good if I opened up to people. and then she made it safe to open up to, and I completely opened up, and then because of that she made multiple like fucking safety reports, whatever. And then the fucking TUSA crowd, like basically CPS if you're American, like just basically whatever like organizations are responsible to make sure kids aren't getting beat or that shit, that's TUSA, right? And then it took months and months and months and months, like it took a good nearly like 8-9 months for them to actually fucking deal with the case. Was like, okay, fuck you cunts, right? And then I got removed the first day the TUSA went to my house, because like the state of it was so fucking bad, you know. Like my nose legitimately doesn't work because of all the mold exposure I got. And it's like, I'm probably going to have to get like a nose job. Not for like fucking penis reasons, because to be honest, I like the way my nose looks. But it's because I think I have like a deviated septum. And just because of like all the fucking mold inhalation or whatever I experienced, my nose is like all the way fucked up and I can't smell anything. Like I can smell stuff, it's like really, 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 really fucking strong. But other than that, I can't smell shit. Like, because, like, one of my biggest fears is stinking, because I won't fucking realise. Like, at the end of the day, as a recovered codependent, what I realise is people are lucky to have me in their lives, and I'm lucky to have them in my lives if they're worthwhile. And it's like, why should I accept someone who doesn't see the value in me? You know? And what I've realised is, if they don't see the value in me, or whatever, I'm just gonna cut them off. Like, I don't really give a shit. I like the whole text message stuff and like thing. If you take a couple of hours to respond, whatever, hypothetically speaking, you're working like a full-time job, you have other shit on the side. If you take a day or two or even that, I don't really give a shit, because we all have lives. You know, I've been on the grind before, and I'm gonna go back on the grind when I get like on my last year of school. I'm so coked. And you're probably like, Miss Baguette, what grind? I won't be fucking studying. It's called studying school and fucking barely getting sleep, and that's school, gym, no sleep. I'm gonna love it. I can't fucking wait. Yeah, but it's like, there's a difference between someone not responding to text messages and someone seeing value in who you are. Like, hypothetically speaking, if I talk to someone and they're not happy that I'm talking to them, then they can fuck off, you know? I'm gonna leave this here. Bye bye. Wow, I think I've actually realized I'm actually kind of happy now. Ah, Nuggies also gonna say bye. Bye bye.